Okay. So once again, good morning, all of you. Okay,
Good
so
morning, ma'am.
yeah, at the very beginning, I just wanted to tell you, please. So during the class, please make sure that your mic is on mute. Okay, so your audio is on mute. So unless it's an important, if you want to clarify anything, or if you feel like asking a question, or if you want to clear your doubts, then you can unmute yourself and ask. Otherwise, please make sure that you are on mute because it's a disturbance to the class. Okay, so that announcement, that instruction, I wanted to give you at the very beginning. And yeah, so here we are going to continue our lecture series. And today I'll be doing another new chapter for you all. Okay, in our fundamentals of programming subject. Okay, so now let me share the screen. So I have shared the screen. Hope that is visible to you all. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So here today we are going to discuss, as I told you, another new chapter, and that here we are going to mainly talk about the arrays. Okay, so when it comes to computer programs, okay, so when it comes to computing, arrays play a major role. So here we are going to connecting to our subject. So or else in terms of our subject, we are going to discuss how we can use arrays like in terms of programming. Okay, so first of all, I'll tell you. So I have I have moved to the next slide. Is the transition visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So now I'm in slide number 2 because sometimes although I move forward, sometimes it's not shown to this shared screen. That's why I just wanted to confirm. Okay. So arrays. So here we are focusing on Java. Okay. So the language that you are learning is Java. So when we take Java, okay, Java is one of the programming languages as other programming language. Okay, so we have other programming languages as well. So like them, the Java provides some facilities to manipulate data in the form of groups or sets. Okay, so this is really important. So here what happens with like in Java, we have these arrays. So what happens in these arrays? Oh, like, okay, keep arrays apart for a while. Okay, so in Java, there are facilities through which like we can manipulate the data in a form of a similar group or like a collection or in a form of a similar set. Okay, so how we can arrange the data into a similar group or into a collection of groups or into a collection of sets. How that can be done? So, of course, we can achieve this by using the arrays. So, here the idea you should clearly have in your mind is that so array is a collection of related data items or related data of the same type that share a collective name. Okay, so this is the idea. This part you should clearly understand, and this you should have the clear concept in your mind. So what is an array? So what happened? I mean, in array, when we take array, so array is a collection of a related data. Okay, that means similar data items. Okay, when we take similar data items, so we can even call as elements. So here in the array, what we are trying to do, we are trying to arrange. So aside, so this is what I was talking at the beginning. I was instructing you all. Please mute the mic.
தம்பி ஹுசேன் அவருந்தாவோ
Who
பொம்பளை
is
3 பேர் பொம்பளை 2 பேர் முடிஞ்சு ஒரு ஆள்
Nufais?
படிக்கிறான்
Nufais Anas. Nufais? Who is this person? Can you please mute your mic? So see, this is what happens. Okay, so you are all connected to the online class, but although I'm calling the person's name, he's not responding. Maybe they are connected and they are in some other work. I don't know. But please don't do this again. And if you can't be in the class, just don't connect it. That's simple. Okay. So here, arrays mean what? It's a collection of similar data items. So we can even call it similar elements. Okay. So here, like in simple, I can tell you. So what we do in the array is that we try to group. Okay. We try to group similar elements or data items into a particular place. So that so in that way you can get the concept in your mind. Okay, so here so in the array what we are normally doing is we try to store. So as I told you, we try to store the similar data items or similar elements into a particular. So when we talk in terms of computing, so here what we are trying to do is we are trying to store them into a particular memory location. So the important thing you have to get in your mind is that, so when it comes to array, it's all about the collection of similar data or similar elements of the same type. So this is important. So that we will be discussing in the upcoming slides. So here, when we take in terms of program, we should know the way of how we can create an array, how that can be how the array can be declared, how to initialize it, okay, and like how to print. So many things we have to discuss under the concept of program when it comes. So I mean, in terms of coding. So apart from that, so just to get the concept, this is the idea. So it's a collection of related items. So each data item of an array is called an element. So that's what I told you. We can call it as a data item or an element. So each data item of an array is called an element, and elements are accessed individually by using an index. Or there is another word for that, that is a subscripted variable. Okay, so when we take array, so here what we are trying to do, we try to put into a particular location, into a particular memory location. What happens in array, all the related data items are put together. I mean, they are made into a group or a collection or a set. So in that case, we have, so just get the idea, we will be having there will be a collection, or there will be number of elements, right? So if we want to get, or if we want to access a particular element, a single element, then how that can be done? So there is an important term you should know, that is index. Okay, so there is a term, there is a thing called index. So using the index of each and every element, we can access, or we can get to that particular element. So index is more like, you can assume that. So here, this is the way. So in a class, Okay, so just assume this way. In a class, we are trying to put a number of students. Okay, so in terms of being students, in terms of their role, they are of the same type, right? So here this is the same thing. So consider the class as an array. So into the class, we are trying to put 20 students. Okay, into the class we put similar, I mean we are putting the students, so in terms of their role they are considered to be similar. Okay, so now we will be, for example, we are having 20 students, so now we should know a way of how to identify each and every student, right? So what we will do, automatically we will be like, so that's the normal scenario, we will be assigning the students with a unique ID for each of them. For example, like in your case, you will be having an index number or a registration number. So that using that, the particular student can be identified or can be accessed. The particular student's details can be accessed. Or if we want to identify the particular student using their index number or using their registration number, the particular student can be, or his or her details can be accessed. So now the class is considered to be an array. And as I told, in terms of the role, so here we are assigning all the students. So they are considered to be the same or the related data or related elements. And now we provide them each and every one with index. And using the index, the particular details of the student can be accessed or the particular student can be identified. The same thing happens here. Okay, so that's what each data item of an array is called an element, and elements are accessed individually by using an index or subscripted value. So there is a variable. So there is another name for that. We call it as index. So here in for my sessions in my lecture series, I'll be using. So that's the normal, I mean commonly used term. We try to use it as index, but there is another name for that as well that we call as subscript. Okay, an array can be a single dimension or multi-dimension. And single dimensional array needs one subscript, I mean one index value, where multi-dimensional array needs more than one index value. Okay, so now we have both of these to be discussed. What is a single dimensional array and a multi-dimensional or 2D array, two-dimensional array. So that for the time being, just keep this apart because so in our upcoming slides we have this part to discuss as a separate one. Okay, so for the time being, we will be talking about the single dimensional array. And what is mentioned here, single dimensional array, they need one index. Okay, so here in the single dimensional array, so for the particular data element, there will be one index, and using the particular index, the value can be accessed. Okay, and this is important. This line, the very last line that I am going to discuss now is important. An array index start index or subscript. Okay, array subscript starts with 0. This is important. So just now, since it's all about the theory part, okay, maybe as I told you, just get the idea from this part. Okay, this concept is important, and when we are discussing in terms of coding, of course, you will clearly understand how these things are working. Okay, but this is important. So always an array index will start with 0. So let's see how that's working and all. Okay, so in my upcoming slide, from the next slide onwards, we are going to discuss how the array is created and how to declare and all the things in detail. But for the time being, can someone make sure that like what I have discussed up to now is understandable. Whether is it understandable? Have you got the idea? Or do I need to repeat anything? I need your responses. Okay, so what about others? Others, are these all clear? Okay, so someone is asking about this dimensional part. I will talk that in detail. Just as I told, for the time being, just keep it apart. Okay, so if it is clear, then I'll move to the next slide. Okay, so here you can see how how an array can be formed. I mean, here this is an example that I mean, so rather than example, I can tell you it's more like an illustration. So here, what we are trying to do, we are trying to group the numbers. So okay, we are trying to get a group of or a collection of numbers. Okay, so in terms of similar elements, so as we discussed here, so array is a collection of related data items of the same type, right? So here they are also can see they are the related data items or related elements. Why? They are all the numbers. The numbers. Okay. So here you can see the numbers are here and we are trying to collect or we are trying to group these numbers into a single array. Okay. And here you can see the name of this array is C. Okay, I am trying to give the name to this array as C. And I told you, right? So, for example, if I want to get 88 from this collection, how can I get it? I should know a way, or there should be a way on how I can get 88 from this collection, right? Yes or no? Now, assume that I should. So, in this collection, there are some numbers. Okay, so there are 10 numbers here. So among these 10 numbers, I want to get this number, this particular number, 88. So how, maybe in 88, there are some details. So I want to access those details. So how can I do that? So how that will be possible for me? There should be a way, right? Yes or no? Okay. So from based on what I was explaining at the previous slide, okay, and even here I have given the name, I have marked the name for it. So based on all this, can someone tell me how can I access this 88? So now you all are agreeing that there is a way, there should be a way. Okay, so you are telling yes. So how? So what's that way? Can someone tell me how can I access this 88? So as I told you, there so consider that there are some important details or like in that 88. So I want to get those details. So how that can be done? Yes, very good. Okay, so here by choosing the particular index. Yes, very good. Okay, so we can access the array by using its particular index. So here in the given illustration, the index for 7, for 88 is 7. So by using this one, we can access the 88 from the collection or from the group given as the array. Very good. Yeah, by calling index 7. Yes, there are good answers. Very good. Okay. So here the index, or as I told you, there is another name for that subscript, but definitely I will not use this particular term. We will be using index. Okay. So index of the elements in array C. And as we told, normally the index are not starting from 1. Okay, so that this one, so especially when it comes to coding part, okay, when it comes to programming part, this one you should be clear. Normally the index will not start from 1. They will be always starting from 0. So from 0, the index will be gone. 0, 1, 2, 3, likewise. Up to the number of elements we are having in the array. Okay, so is this clear? Okay, very good. Yes, I'm getting good responses. So thank you very much. Okay, so this is really important. So for an online class, your responses and your interaction is really important. Only then we will know like what is happening at the other end, whether you have got the things or not. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so now that is clear, right? So I think by now you should have got the clear concept of what an array is and in terms of computing, how it is supposed to be. Okay, so how so in the array, what we will do, we will be grouping the similar elements. So in our example, we have grouped some numbers. Okay, so they are considered to be similar data items or similar elements. And how there should be a way to access the particular elements or the data. So that's how we are doing. We are trying to call the index. We will be calling or we will be assigning index to them. And you should always remember that the index will be always starting from 0. Okay, so I'll move to the next slide. Okay, so now we are coming to our programming part. Okay, the first part. Okay, so when we are trying to create an array in terms of our programming, when we try, so here our subject is programming. So now we are going to program, or we are going to write the coding for it. Okay, we are going to write the code. So here the first part is all about how we can, in the array creation process, the first thing is all about declaring. So how the array can be declared and created. Okay, so how the array can be declaring and creating arrays. So array objects occupy space in memory. Like other objects, arrays are created with keyword new. Okay, so here I think like now you have learned up to an extent, and I think you are supposed to you should have written certain programs. Especially these Java programs. So there we have this concept, or we have this thing called objects. Okay, so when we take a Java program, we have objects, and like in terms of like when it comes to how to code for a object, how that can be done, we will be normally creating an object using the keyword new. Right? We'll be normally creating an object using the keyword new. And you have to know that normally these arrays are created as the objects in the memory. So that's what mentioned here. Okay. To create an array object, you should specify the type of the array elements. Okay. So this is important. So how to create an array? Okay. That means in the array creation process, the first step one is declaration. Okay, array declaration. So when we are trying to declare the array, there are two things you have to you have to do. The first part is first of all you have to specify the type of the array. I mean, based on the data type, whether it's an integer, whether it's going to be an integer array, or whether it's going to be a double, whether it's going to be a float. Okay, so first of all, you have to specify the type. Okay, so you should specify the type of the array elements and the number of elements as a part of array creation express that uses a new keyword. So here is an example given. Okay, so as I told you, what you should have, we should first of all specify the type and the number of elements. So that we are calling as the size of the array. Okay, so here I can explain you in the board. So I have now gone to the whiteboard. Can you all see that? Okay, so here, let's write this. Array creation. Okay, so in array creation, the first step is array declaration. The first step is array declaration. Students, can you give me 2 minutes? I'm having a call. I'll come back. Okay, so I'm back now. Okay, so in the array creation, for the array creation, the first part is array declaration. Okay, so in the array declaration, what we are doing is we are doing two things. The first part is we have to define the data type. Okay, and then we will be giving the name for the array. Okay, and also we'll be allocating a space for the number of elements that should appear, that should be there in our array. So the number of elements that we call as the size of the array. Okay, so that I can write you here. Okay, so array declaration. As I told you, what is the first one? First of all, we'll be having the data type. Then we'll be having the array name. That is important. So using the array name and only like the index will be used. Okay, array name. And as I told you, we will be allocating the space. We will be allocating the space for the number of elements that should be there in the array. Okay, so the number of elements that we are calling as the size of the array. So here, data type. So here this you can consider, as I told you, data type can be like what is the type of, what is the type of the array that we are going to create, whether it's going to be an integer array or float, double. Okay, so here, for example, we can consider as integer array. And you can give a name, whatever the name that you like. Maybe you can give A or C, or you can give number, whatever. Or you can give temperature. Okay, you can give the name. Okay, so for example, I am giving as A. And you will be having you will be having this size. So array declaration will be like this. Int A. So this is the line of the code for array declaration process. So as I told you, there should be these three things should be there. Data type, array name, and here is the space that we are going to allocate the number or the size. So into it, you will be putting the number of elements that should be there in the array. Is this clear? This is what I have there in this slide. So before we going back there, just can you please make sure whether it's clear? So this is the code for array declaration. Okay, very good. Clear, right? So I'll go back to the slide. Here. So here you can see int. Okay. So sometimes you can have it two way, right? Okay, so here you have declared the array. So as I told you, the variable, the data type is there and your array name is there and your, the space for the size is also there. So that is the array declaring process. Declare the array variable. Now here we are declaring the array. And then it's about creating the array and assign the array variables. So as I told you, when we are trying to create the array, so normally how it will be created in the memory, it will be created as object. And in Java, when we are trying to create an object, we have to use the keyword new. Okay, so that's why we are creating an array called C. Okay, so here I'm creating the array. So C equal new int, and here I'm giving the size. So now I'm going to have the size of 12 for my array. Okay, so that is the array creation or array. So array declaration and array initialization process. So here you can see this part. So here we have declared the array. So declaration in the sense that we can consider it as it's more like declaring a variable. So normally what we do in the program, when we are trying to declare a variable, we should definitely initialize some value to it, right? So that is what we have done using this new keyword. Okay, so this is the array declaration and initialization process. So this is the very first step in our array creating process. Is this clear? So of course we have exercises. So there I will be writing Eclipse programs. So in the Eclipse I'll be writing the programs, but for the time being, can you get how it all works? So as I told you, I'm repeating again. So in the array creation process, the first part is all about declaring and initializing. You can just consider as how you did for other Java programs. Okay, so for the programs, normally you will do, first of all, we have to declare the variable, and to the variable, you have to initialize some value, right? The same thing happens here. Okay, so I'm getting good responses. I hope the same with everyone. So shall we move forward to the next slide? So here in summary, this is the thing that we like you have to keep in mind. What is that? What is that? So in the array creation, okay, maybe students, so the things that I'm writing in the board, it's better that if you can take a note on it. So that when you are trying to refer these slides again and when you are trying to study again, you can like easily go through your notes as well. Okay, so not, of course, I will share the slides with you. So here the things that I'm writing here. Maybe I will, so most of the time what I try to do is I'll try to summarize the things and give so that you can easily like catch it later. So in the array creation process, the first part is what? Array declaration. Array declaration. Okay. And the second part is initialization. Yes, very good. So someone has already sent me declaration initialization. Very good. Okay. So in the array creation process, the first part is array declaration, then array initialization. So this is the summary of what we have learned. I mean, what we have discussed up to now. I hope that should be clear with everyone. Is it so? Shall we move forward? Okay, so I'll move to the next part. So that was all about declaring and initializing. So now assigning values to arrays. Okay, so this part we have already discussed. Assigning values. Okay, so here the special role will be given to what we have discussed as index. Okay, so let's see. So someone is asking, ma'am, is it okay to put square brackets after variable name? Or before that, in the sense, you are asking, I mean, in this way, like this, and what I have shown you, I mean, in the board. Are you trying to ask in that aspect? So you are asking this part and this part, right? to the person who messaged me? Okay, yeah, both are fine. Because when you try to refer some sample programs, so in some programs they'll be writing in that way, and in some way they'll be writing in this way. So both are fine. So someone is asking what is initialization? Could you please explain? So yeah, so as I told you, what we are trying to do. Okay, so someone is still stuck on it, so I'll repeat it. Okay, so don't get bored. The people who understood, maybe we have to cover up everyone and go. Okay, so I'll simply tell it and I'll go to the. I mean, I will move to the next slide. So initialization means just consider how you have written your other Java programs. So they are normally what you will do, you will be first of all declaring a variable, and to the variable's value, you should initialize something. I mean, you should initialize a value, right? So that is what's happening in this array creation process. The first part is we are creating or we are declaring the array variable, and to the variable that we have created, we are trying to assign some value. So the assigning the value, that part we are calling as the initialization. So here you can see, but okay. So here especially we are using the new keyword. Why? Because normally when we take, I mean, in memory, the arrays will be considered as an object. So in that case, usually how the Java objects are created, there you should definitely use the new keyword. Keyword new should be there. That is why we are using new keyword here, and we are trying to initialize the value. Is okay now? So like any other programs, the usual thing. First of all, we'll be declaring a variable, and to the variable that we have declared, we are trying to initialize some value. That's what's happening here too. Okay, so I'll move to the next part. So as I told, assigning values to the array. Okay, so this is our next part, the next topic we need to discuss. To refer to the elements, we use an index. So this we have discussed, right? To refer or to access to the elements that we are having in the array. How we will be doing that? By calling its particular index of the particular element. Okay, that means we are trying to use the index that ranges from 0. So this even I told you that you have to always keep in mind that the indexes are always starting. So the array index will always start from 0. Okay, so 0 means, index 0 means that is the first element in the array. Is that clear? So here they are telling we use an index that ranges from 0. So index 0 means that is the first element in the array. Is that correct or wrong? Is that right or wrong? Can you confirm me? Index 0, that means that is the first element in the array. Is that right or wrong? Yes. So here I just wanted to check whether you all have got the idea. Yes. So all are answering me correctly. Yes, very good. Okay, so thank you for those right answers. Yes, that's correct, right? So index 0 means that is the first element in the array. Okay, and there is another part. To the one less than the total number of elements. Okay, so normally, here we are discussing about the range of the index. So the range will be starting from 0. Maybe I can. Index range. range will start from 0 and it will go up to the number of elements minus 1. Is that clear? Wait, let me explain you. Okay. For example, assume that now we are having an array A. Okay. Into this, we are going to have some elements. Okay, so now we are having an array called A, and in this array, we are having 5 elements in total, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, but when you take the index range, here you can see they are starting from 0 and the range. So what is the index of our last element? That is 4. That means what is our number of elements? I'm trying to give you the ideas. So okay, number of elements equal 5. Okay, but here you can see our index is 4. It's going up to 4. So that is what we have meant here. Oh. 5 number of elements minus 1 equal 4. So that is the index range. So here it is going from 0 to 4. So how this 4 is decided? It is based, how like we can identify this, that is based on the number of elements minus 1. Because our index range is since it's starting from 0, the maximum index will be the number of elements minus 1. Is that clear? That is what mentioned here. So to refer to the elements, we use the index that ranges from 0 to the 1 less than the total number of elements. Clear, right? Okay. So as I told you, so assigning values to array means, so in simple, here it's all about the index. So for each and every, to each and every element in the array, we'll be having an index and that will be assigned to each element. So using that, we can, the particular element can be referred. If we specify an index that is less than 0 or greater than the upper bound of the array, an array index out of bound exception will be thrown. This is important. Okay, so that means if we don't specify the index in the correct manner, okay, if we don't give the size of the array correctly, then in Java program, this particular exception will be thrown. Of course, these error handling parts and exceptions we'll be studying as one of our upcoming chapters. But for the time being, just get this part. Array index out of bounds exception. Maybe what we can do is, okay, so here, first of all, I'll give you the explanation based on this, and I will write you the program and I'll show you how this array index out of bound exception is coming. Okay, so here what we have done, we are declaring the array, and okay, so here based on this piece of code, can someone tell me what is the name of the array? Can someone tell me what is the name of the array? Yes, very good. Here we are creating an integer array called by the name my array. Okay, and my array is an integer one. Okay, and someone tell me what is the size of the array? Can someone tell me? Yes, very good. So the size of the array is 5. And there we are creating an array with 5 elements. Okay, so that is about assigning values to array. Okay, so when we are writing the program, I will show you. For the time being, keep this in mind. But definitely when we are writing the program, I will show you what is array index out of bounds exception. So this is normally, this exception will be there when we are, so here, maybe for example, you have defined the size as 5, right? So if you have like past, or if you into this array, if you are having one more element, okay, so definitely what will happen, this particular exception will be thrown. Or to this element, you since you have specified the size as 5, you should definitely have the 5 elements. For example, you are having only 4 elements. So in that case, so in that scenario also, this particular exception will be thrown. That is why if you specify an index that is less than 0 or greater than the upper bound of an array, then the particular exception will be thrown. So is everything clear up to now? So this is about assigning values to the array. So here we are mainly focusing on the index. And you should always keep in mind the index will be always starting from 0, and you can, so based on the size, you can have the index ranging up to the one that is less than the total number of elements, or one that is less than that is one less than the total number of your size of your array size. So what is this? So someone is asking to explain the last one in the sense. Can you elaborate me? Can you tell me which part? What are the difference between array size and the number of element? Number of element calculation. So they are not different. Array size is equal to the number of elements. If array size, if you put the array size as 5, there, so in the array that you are creating, you will be having 5 elements. 5 number of elements will be there. So they are not different. They are equal. I mean, they are similar. The size of the array and the number of elements in the array. And the other one, someone is asking to explain the last one. So last one means. Okay, and we are nearing the end time as well. Maybe in 10:30 you are having another lecture, I think. Is it so? One is supposed to be conducted during your English time. Okay, so but size is 5, but the number of elements. No. Number of element. Wait, I think someone is confused. Number of elements minus 1. So here I am referring to the index. Okay, get me clearly here. the size of the array and the number of elements are equal. Okay, but the size of the array or the number of elements and index, they are different. Index is not equal to the number of elements, or index is not equal to the size of array. Okay, so so yeah, okay, right? Okay, so this is supposed to be in a 1 hour class. Okay, so we have discussed up to, so here this is an, now I'm trying to summarize the things. So here we have discussed what is an array. So you should always keep in mind, it's a collection of related data items or data elements of the similar type. And here so when it comes to array, indexes play an important role. So here, so for this array C, we are trying to group the similar number of elements. Those are the numbers, and to them we are assigning the index. So index, they will be always starting from 0 and declaring array. So in the array creation process, initially it's all about array declaration, then array initialization. To the value that we declared, we have to initialize. We are doing the initialization, and then it's about assigning values. Okay, so this is the summary of what we have discussed for today. So I hope these are all clear for you all. So the time is 10:30. Okay, yes. I will, yeah, definitely. I will share the, I will upload the content to VLE. Okay. So if you have anything, you can ask me now. Otherwise, we can wind up the class. Okay, since it's already 10:30, I will finish this. I will end this meeting. So thank you very much, everyone. We'll meet in our next class. Maybe it's supposed to be next Tuesday. Else, if we are having anything in between that, I will inform you in our group. Okay. So thank you very much, everyone. You all can leave now. Have a nice day.